more. Feel the heat with the Sizzle, the hottest talk in the 219 on WGVE 88.7 FM. Don't forget to use the hashtag Sizzle219 and hashtag Iron Skillet Media to join the conversation on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Iron Skillet Media on all of your favorite social media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and any other podcast platform you enjoy. Every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Got a call about a female screaming with a child.
This morning, new clues into what happened the night Alabama woman Carlee Russell disappeared, only to mysteriously return home 48 hours later.
She's not at their vehicle.
In new audio, you hear police officers responding to Russell's 911 call about a toddler walking alone on Interstate 459.
The child's going to be a white male wearing a white T-shirt and a diaper.
Only to find her car still running.
Be advised, her vehicle's unlocked, running. All her personal belongings except for her phone.
Hoover police issuing a statement saying detectives were able to retrace nearly all of Carlee's steps, but have not been able to locate anyone with Carlee.
From what my son's girlfriend could hear on the phone, she never heard a child say anything, and she heard my daughter scream, or what sounded like a scream.
Investigators say the 25-year-old nursing student initially disappeared Thursday night outside of Birmingham. Family reported Russell arrived home by foot late Saturday, where officials took her statement and then transported her to the hospital where she was treated and released. Now, police using that statement and this traffic cam footage, which appears to show Russell's car slowing down with flashing lights, in their investigation as they continue to piece together what happened during those 48 hours.
Good afternoon. Thanks to everyone for attending again today. I want to thank the members of our department and all of law enforcement who played a role in the investigation of this case. Last Wednesday, July 19th, we held a press conference and provided you with the facts of the Carlee Russell disappearance. We told you the investigation was ongoing, and we hoped to determine where Carlee was during the 49 hours of her disappearance. Today I've talked to and received a statement from Mr. Emery Anthony, attorney for Carlee Russell. Mr. Anthony has scheduled a meeting for Carlee to meet with investigators early this afternoon, but then I received an email stating that a statement was being provided by him on her behalf. Mr. Anthony asked that I read the statement in its entirety, which I will do now. My client has given me permission to make the following statement on her behalf. There was no kidnapping on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. My client did not see a baby on the side of the road. My client did not leave the Hoover area when she was identified as a missing person. My client did not have any help in this incident, but this was a single act done by herself. My client was not with anyone or any hotel with anyone during the time she was missing. My client apologizes for her actions to this community, the volunteers who were searching for her, to the Hoover Police Department and other agencies as well, as to her friends and family. We ask for your prayers for Carlee as she addresses her issues and attempts to move forward, understanding that she made a mistake in this matter. Carlee, again, ask for your forgiveness and prayers.
You know who it is. You know what it is. It's the Sizzle in the building with the hottest talk in the 219, the only place for information in the 219. We've got something now. It's a segment we're going to do because there's something that we can't say definitively, but we might be able to say it after we get finished having this conversation. We're having a conversation with not only one of the best guests, but one of our ex-producers, one of our greatest members of the Sizzle family. The coldest winter ever is in the building. Winter, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, I would be doing well if I could figure out this story that is out and I can't understand what's going on. There's a young lady, Carlee Russell, 25-year-old nursing student who went missing for 2 days. She told police she had been abducted, but the police in Alabama have no indication of what took place. The police chief, I believe his name is of the Hoover Police Department is Chief Nick DeZaris. He was very verbal and very questioning some of the things, saying there were very strange incidences in this case. Winter, from what you've learned and from what you've heard, how does this case, how is it playing out? How did we get to this point with Carlee Russell?
Well, I'm going to say this. The first time I started to suspect something was wrong was when I heard that her wig was left behind. Sorry, but as a young woman, like as soon as I get in the car after work, I definitely do put the wig goes on this car seat. But I mean, if I'm pulling over and I think I might be engaging with police officers, I'm putting it back on.
Okay. All right. Now that makes sense. I was not prepared for that one.
I was like, something might be a little off with this one. But what struck me as very interesting is how quick the police got involved. Mm-hmm. And like you said, she's 25 years old. If normally in situations like that, they don't get involved until the 48-hour mark, until the person's been missing for 2 days, simply because they're like, oh, she might be with her boyfriend, or maybe she wanted to go on a vacation or anything. They don't take them that serious because we're Black, or because young women can do whatever they want. If you're an adult, you can do what you want. It's not that odd, So the involvement of the police so early on in this case was very reminiscent of me to Jussie Smollett.
There's a great comp here, and I don't know if it's accurate, but it's a good comp because we're in that same zone. A lot was made of the Jussie Smollett trial and the case in itself, but this case seems a little different.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, it was a baby involved.
I think the police knew very early on what we're coming to discover now. They suspected all along that it was nonsense. And I bring up Jussie Smollett because a lot of us from the first interview, when the first photo was dropped, was like, we could have beat him up better than two guys that was supposed to be racist. So like, you know what I'm saying? It's an odd case now. I think that when we do have police participation in these criminal acts against people of color, it's typically now it's becoming a scam. It's like something's wrong. There's a wrongdoer, and it's the person of color.
If you grew up in the region or you're in the area, you know about Chicagoland, you know about Northwest Indiana. The one thing you knew from the Jussie Smollett case was there are not a lot of people roaming around downtown that late at night, especially MAGA groups of men who watch Empire. And so we began to think maybe there's something wrong with this. And because if you've been down, especially near that subway, you know that the rodents there will whip you as fast as the people. So you don't want to tarry, you don't want to dilly-dally, you want to get in and get out. But this case, there was a baby. It was a toddler, and the toddler was unattended on the expressway. And from what I've read, she traveled, as she was telling police, the length of 6 football fields.
Right.
Following a toddler. No car, no parent. She was just following the toddler.
And you know what? The police were the ones that were able to track that her car traveled at least that far during that conversation. Which really, when you think about it, though, even if they hadn't discovered that part of it, as a young woman, if I pull over to the side of any road, basically at night, men will stop and ask if you're okay. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. As quick as you pull over, there's someone. Are you having car trouble? Are you okay? At the very least, she was parked out of her car and going so quick that didn't happen in the footage that we saw on that highway. So I find it very hard to believe that the child existed, which is another thing that they're mentioning.
I don't get it.
What do you don't get? The point line?
Okay. See, here we go, winner. This is where all of our conversations go left, because I'm not going to say she was lying. I'm going to say that she might have been careless with the truth.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'll accept it.
All right. A car that travels about 600 yards. I'm at the point, there's and maybe I'm just stuck here. There's a baby wearing a white t-shirt and a diaper on the highway.
And nobody else saw it.
And no shoes. Okay. And nobody else passed and saw this baby on the expressway.
Nobody else. I mean, I'm going to say this. Babies are small, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if, people are driving, it's dark, they might not see the baby. When she pulled over, immediately people's eyes probably darted to what's going on over there. So I bring up again, like I said, in every instance that I've ever pulled over on the side of the road, even if it's just to, fix my directions or something or my GPS, other people have pulled over too, or rolled down their window and asked, "Are you okay? Are you good?"
A part of investigation.
Yeah. So, and you're in the rural South,
You're on Interstate 459, and there have been multiple cars that have passed this area, people traveling this area during that time frame. No one else called. The police department received no other calls. So the question is now, and then, okay, so there are more elements to this story. The research they've done through her phone, what they saw her do when she purchased food items, and then when she returned home, it's another scenario. So
she was Googling taken. You know how I don't know what she was expecting, but she was Googling taken. Like of all the other search, like when she was like looking up if you had to pay money for Amber Alert, I thought that was weird and stuff. But maybe you have random questions. I ask my phone a ton of random questions a day. But taken and then you're abducted. What are the odds? What are the odds?
Well, okay, let's look at the odds of how many times people in that family were taken. If you watch the series. Now, if I'm correct, the wife, the daughters, and then somebody else was taken. Because they're like, I think he was taken, wasn't he?
He got taken. The daughter had to whoop some ass.
Okay, so he was taken. They were taken. Everybody was taken.
Carlee was taken.
Now, she was taken, but she was fed.
But also the description of the kidnapper.
Yes.
The actor. Orange hair, bald spot. So she was kidnapped by Pennywise, is what the internet has come to the conclusion of.
I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to do this, winner, and I knew I had to be prepared for your foolishness because now I knew you were going to get out of control, and I knew that there had to be something to recenter you back into this conversation. So, okay, let's just stop there. We're not going to go with the baby who was running laps like Saquon Barkley up and down the expressway.
Doing suicide.
Baby suicides on the highway. And we're not going to talk about that. We're going to go to the next point. And this is a very serious, this is serious one. And this is where the concern comes in this story. Because there are black women who are being abducted. There are black women who are being terrorized. Melanated women across the nation. There are Moorish women who are disappearing, being sold, being trafficked. All of these things, from your perspective, as a young black woman, how does this play out in the greater scheme of the real things? And not saying that this situation may not be real, because it may be real in another issue, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But how does this play out for Black women across the nation when you have an incident like this occurring?
I mean, everyone's like saying now they're not going to believe us, but they've been not believing us. And like I said, my theory is that they knew it was nonsense from the jump, and that's why they pursued it as the case to make national news out of. So I don't honestly think in the grander scheme of things it's going to have that much of an effect on us. What it's going to teach us as a people, though, is to rally behind these stories a little bit more. Because what I'm getting more than anything out of it is people saying, I'm not going to feel guilty about about supporting Black women, you know? And that's the more important issue, is that we're now in this age of technology where we all can know something that's happening a world away and spread that information from the source. So now we don't have to rely on the media. You know, you can hear it from someone's family, because videos of her family, she had, like, I guess, a brother or some type of close family members were making videos, and they were being shared on social media about the abduction. You know, it's so much. The reason why it's such a confusing case too is because other people that were surrounding the case have also issued out information about it. That's why more doubt has been, speculated. But I don't know. To me, it kind of shows the power that we have as a collective voice if we all are speaking up about situations like this, you know, and we're all like engaging in them.
That's the biggest thing, the engagement, from where it went on social media to where it went on news media and in the mainstream. As you said earlier, this case moves so quickly. We were at the point of having half of the 50% of the information by the end of the night because it moved. People were making posts. People were saying, look, make sure that you're checking this, because it's been a lot going on with Black women, especially in other countries. Things have happened. There was a young lady beaten to death by a group of her own friends. There have been Black folk killed and kidnapped. It's been a lot going on, but the engagement in this case, to your point, the police took it on. And I don't know who said this is going to be one of those ones we're going to do a aha. But does this really flip the narrative where when the police thought we're going to expose them for their lies, what it actually showed was that Black people united, a Moorish nation stood up and said, we have to support and find this young lady and see what's happened and where is she and what's going on. And are the police doing their part?
I think they are, for a change. And unfortunately, the outcome is not what we wanted. I mean, she's home, but you know what I'm saying? It's a little, you know, we're in some murky waters with it, but the police are doing what they're supposed to do. They're investigating. We're learning that they have the resources. They have the technology. Mm-hmm. So whenever there's any, like, you know, I feel like there's now reason to put more accountability on the police now. If they were able to find out all this information from this young lady, about this young lady in 48 hours, 49 hours, then when we do have legitimate cases, which we have more of than not, these resources need to go into those cases as well. Those cases need to be treated in the same regard.
You know, with you saying that they have footage from the Colonnade shopping mall where she went to Target, they know exactly what time it was. It was, and she was in the parking lot to around 9:21. Then at 9:34, she called. They pulled highway footage. They had all of this at their disposal within minutes of actually getting this case. And now you're at a point where you're saying, okay, if you can do this for her case, what about the Black women who are missing in the city of Chicago? And to me, and we've had this discussion before, Winter, it's troubling to me that there are women who have gone missing and either they're not reported or no one has a lead or clue as to who they are, or they end up being found in garbage cans in alleys across the south side of Chicago. As a Black woman, how concerned are you with your safety in your daily walk throughout your day, going about your business and knowing that it might be reported or it might not be reported?
I'm going to say this, and the thing that, like you brought up already, is the time frame in which these crimes happen in. So they used to say they have about 48 hours to have a successful turnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that to not necessarily be true, because we find women, it's 20 years later, you know? So it's one of those things your daily practices have to reflect your safety or your concerns for your safety. So putting on your location trackers and not just giving them to a boyfriend or something like that, giving them to your friends, giving them to your mom, you know, making sure, you know, when you leave places, when you park your car, you're parking your car in a well-lit area. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. You're protecting yourself as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, anything that happens after, you know, you're abducted is an after effect. You're abducted. Anything can happen in the moment and you don't even have to be taken for something that happened to you, though, here in Chicago. We had an incident that happened in the suburbs at a Whole Foods where the young man had been tracking this young girl. Mm-hmm. And she has removed other trackers from her car from this ex-boyfriend of hers, and he killed her in the parking lot there. So taking more steps than just that, you know what I'm saying? If somebody wants to harm you, unfortunately, they can. But being aware of your surroundings and taking extra measures yourself, you know, is the biggest thing. We don't live in the time where you're, you know, like when I was a kid, I was always wondering why I didn't have a kid in the house you know, mm-hmm. too early. Wasn't
Correct.
allowed to just go home. You know, my mom had to pick me up. Why can't I ride the bus home from school?
Right.
Because it's not the 60s when she grew up and could walk home with a group of kids, and she was at 5 years old, had a key to the house or whatever. Right. You know, not a big deal. We're in a different time. And that means as young women, we're not in a time where, you know, men would have to put in the work and you could see a man stalking you. They can stalk you online because you might give them all the information they need.
Okay. Now that, to me, that is a bigger discussion. That, do you overshare? Is there such a thing of oversharing, or are you sharing the wrong information? One thing we've learned to do is that when you go places, you tell people to be safe. Maybe you don't want to post while you're there. I think it was P&B Rock. I think you want to wait until after you leave, and then it still is relevant. Your followers will still know, but you post later. Like, oh, I was here. Guess what? I had on all my jewelry. Guess what? I was unprotected. Guess what? I was in an unsafe environment, but it's not right now, but you thought it was. Man, does that work?
That definitely works. Because, I mean, even outside of cases like this, there's been a number of rappers that have gotten killed, you know, by ops just from posting on social media. So homeboy can get out the hood, you know, and be in somewhere in Calabasas in a mansion, mm-hmm. and the doors get knocked down by somebody looking for him. So I was like, you know, no one's safe, you know. All the guns in the world, you know, you have to protect yourself a little bit smarter. Get a step smarter than whoever's out there.
Yeah, your assailants are out there looking. But let's talk about the other part of this. And the other part of this equation, from my perspective, is that we're talking about a mental health issue.
Oh, definitely.
And we're really talking about an era where we have mental health crisis that arise every day. Police departments are dealing with an overabundance of how to patrol, how to enforce code, and then, oh, by the way, they have to be mental health professionals. When I look at this case, it screams to me mental health issue, a traumatic situation, something happened. How do you see it from where we stand?
The biggest thing that they've been saying online is that she's trying to get the attention of this boyfriend. And I'm sorry, I would rather mop the floor with a single eyelash of a man before I do anything for the attention, purely for the attention of a man. I'm sorry, that's another discussion. But there had to have been some signs prior to this in my mind. I cannot possibly fathom that this was the first time she's done something of this this grandeur. You know what I'm saying? This
the magnitude of this.
The magnitude of this. I also don't think she actually perceived. She ever really thought of the end result of it. I think she really probably thought, oh yeah, my family would be looking for me, and then it might, get back to him or whatever, and he'll be looking for me. And then when he starts looking for me, that's when I'll come out. I don't think she thought it was going to come to this point, because no one in their right mind would do it if they thought it was going to get to this point, where she was seeing her on television, crying, pleading for her safety.
One of the things that I thought about it, and as a parent, you think of your children's safety. That's one of the primary things. You're always thinking about, are they safe? Are they in a safe environment? But when I saw her parents and I saw that they were, the pain that you saw in their interview, especially when her dad really had no words, because to your point, I believe they know these things have happened with her before, or there have been instances where you thought, okay, that went a little bit far, but this one took it to another. You actually left. You disappeared for 2 days.
Her on the side of the road. She got the police involved. Like, this is more than just like little girls running away, angry because of the rules of the house or whatever. She staged a kidnapping. She set in motion an abduction, her own abduction.
And got people. Here's the thing that, to me, that is the one thing she didn't take into account is now you have local parents who are now concerned. They're concerned about abduction and that there is a baby wandering around unchecked and not being cared for. So what if there are other abductors who are using children as bait or using toddlers, infants? These children are now being used to draw in other young people, teenage girls, young ladies. It opens a Pandora's box. To your point, I don't think she thought this through. It's like a bad Thanos movie. Her end game, right? Because like the end game wasn't, you didn't think that it was going to happen the way it happened, right?
Right.
You didn't think the glove was going to come off and that Tony Stark was going to be able to make the snap. And then you didn't think that the people were going to come back. And let me say this. I don't know how many times they killed the Black Panther, but they killed the Black Panther a lot during that whole Marvel series. I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know how that got there, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that it killed him, and then it came back, and then it killed him again.
I mean, that was one thing you could rely on. It was going to kill that brother.
So as a wrap up to this whole thing, what are your final thoughts on where this case is going and the implications of what's going to happen from the Carlee Russell situation?
I'm not sure she should necessarily do jail time, but she definitely needs some big mental evaluation. I think she should be separated from the general population, because to go this far for a young man doesn't seem safe for him. You know, if she's willing to do this, what's her next step? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What was the alternative? There had to be like a B plan, you know, to this. Who knows what it could be? It could have been a personal harm to herself or him, or who knows. Like, it's for someone to go to this length, to this extreme, we don't know what their mental state is. And another concerning thing is that person was almost a nurse. They're in school to be a nurse. We don't know how much that person interacts with actual patients, because she was working at a facility.
Right.
So, I mean, to be honest, a bigger and even bigger question is, are they properly, like, doing background checks, doing psychological tests on people taking care of us in hospitals or in senior facilities? Mm-hmm. What's happening there? Because I, for a fact, I'm going to say this. The first interview with her parents, I was like, these are parents concerned about their daughter. They're looking for their child. Then there was the interview afterward, when she came home, and I was like, oh no, these are parents protecting their child from their child.
Okay.
They knew something wasn't right.
This is such a sensitive topic, but one that has to be discussed, because these are things that are happening in our community, and it's not just in Alabama. This is on the south side of Chicago. This is in Northwest Indiana. This is through Indianapolis. This is in Kentucky. This is in Detroit. This is all around us. And these are questions that have to be answered from her case, but they're also answers that I think will help us in the long run as we go step by step. How do we get young ladies help? What happens when there is a situation and now there's an incident? How do we rally as a community, and how do we make this work? So from what you've laid out, I think if young ladies take your advice, and young men too, I'm not excluding them, just if people would be safer and feel the ability to open up and reach out to health professionals if needed, if there is an issue going on. We have always been an advocate here at the Sizzle of making sure that your mental health and wellness is at paramount in your life and for those around you. But with that all said, I know you've been having a rough time, Winter. The writer's strike, this foolishness that's going on, it's been hard, and it's been hard on everybody. But for those who want to follow your content and what you do, how do listeners follow you and keep up with you and know what you're doing on a daily basis?
They can't, because I do not post on a daily basis. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Winter, WYNTER_solstice.
Winter solstice. That means that time of the winter where it's cold. The coldest winter ever. I had to say it, man. I miss you. I haven't talked to you in a minute.
It's been a while.
It's been too long. It has been too long. And I'm looking forward to new episodes of the shows you're working on. I'm looking forward to new content. I'm looking forward to you guys getting back to work and doing the stuff.
Me too.
You know, you might have to send out and tell people what your your Cash App and your Zelle is. You be like, hey, this isn't my birthday, but it's close to rent day. So anybody who wants to just bless me with rent day money, here's my Instagram and my Cash App. That's what you can do. You can reach me that way. Why don't you do that? So, okay, I get it. Well, thanks, Winter, for coming in just for a moment and having this conversation as we chop it up, because I believe we're going to help somebody somewhere. I don't know who, but I know somebody is going to be listening to this and say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit safer when I make moves in these streets. And the next time I see a baby running down the highway. I'm going to take a video of it so that people believe me and know that it was a real baby out here running. And, and maybe in
doors rolled up.
Oh, man, how did a baby run that far with no shoes? That's what I can't get, Winter. That's the thing that gets me. I can't even walk from my bed to the bathroom with no shoes on. I don't know how this baby was trucking down the interstate with no shoes on. I can't get it. I don't know.
It says it could have been a leprechaun. It could have been a leprechaun.
You know, I'm not fooling with you anymore. I'm not fooling with you. You know who it is. You know what it is. It's the Sizzle here in the building. Listen, make sure that you are subscribed, that you like, and that you share our contact information. You share all of this information that you've heard. Make sure that you're subscribed to everything that we do. Look for us, and you can always find us on any social media platform at The Sizzle 219. That's The Sizzle 219.